What's up guys, my name is Ace, and with the launch of Season 5, there were several changes to the Warzone map, and one of the big things that they added in this season is exterior ascenders, or I just call them grapple spots that are around the map. And these are basically just ropes that are hanging from many of the tall buildings and objects that allow you to grapple up them, just like you can on the interior elevators of many of the buildings. These points were added just to offer people another method of getting up to a lot of these buildings, because in many cases there's only one way up, and that made it really easy to camp on top of these areas. So these ascenders are great for providing another option to attack these areas. Now obviously I was very curious to find out exactly where all of these exterior ascenders are, and therefore I spent a couple hours just going into various plunder matches with a helicopter and combing over this map. And I believe I have found every single one of them, and today I'm going to be sharing all of these grapple locations with you. So let's just hop right into it and start it off with the highest concentration area of these grapple points. This is obviously the downtown area. And kicking it off, we have this tall building over here. There is one grapple location on that. And then right next to that, the really tall white building in downtown, this also has one single grapple point attached to it. Then coming all the way over to this side, we have this other tall building right here. That one now has a grapple on it as well. Then we have the D building from the Ground War map to Forest District. This has 3 different grapple points on it, 2 of which are kind of meant to be used together. So you can see there's the lower one that gets you up to the level that allows you to take the higher one. And then on the other side of the building as well, we have another one of these grapple points. Then after that, of course, we've got one on this really tall skyscraper right here. That one was in the trailer, so that one's pretty obvious. But right next to that, at the bank, we have 2 different grapple points to get up onto the rooftop. One on the west side and one on the east side. And then finally, for the downtown area, we have one on the back side of this building right here. Now, just to give you guys a map overview of all of these grapple points in the downtown area, there you go. You can see them there. And you can also see some on this stadium area up on the top there. So let's just quickly have a look at those. These ones are pretty straightforward. They're only on this side of the stadium, but there are 2 ways to get up onto there, which is nice. And also going back to this map, you can see the hospital on the left-hand side, so let's take a closer look at those ones. In this area, we have 4 different grapple points, one near the front entrance, then one on the back side of the main building of the hospital as well, that gets you right up to the highest point of the main building. Then when it comes to the really tall building, we have one on each side. So in total, we've got 4 in the hospital area, and you can see them on this more zoomed in map here for reference. Next up, moving a little bit southwest of the hospital, we have the train station and Promenade area. And first up, we have this taller building in the Promenade area, and with this one, there are 2 different grapple points, one on each side of that, which is really nice because that building can be quite frustrating to attack, I've found. Then when it comes to the train station itself, we have 3 grapple points on this. We have one on this end of the train station over here. Then as we come over toward the middle of the train station on this side of it, you can see right by the entrance there is another one of those grapple points. And then finally, all the way on this end over here, near the mountain side of it, we have another grapple spot. Going back to my overhead map here, you can see if we head a little bit north of the train station, we have those 2 tall curved buildings, and it turns out each of these buildings has their own grapple point attached to it. And these ones are actually quite convenient because they'll get you right up on top of the stairway for it. So when you're attacking somebody that's camping on that rooftop, this is often a pretty effective strategy for taking them out rather than just taking the stairs. But looking north from there, we have the Superstore area, and the Superstore itself has 2 grapple points attached to it, one on the southeast side and one on the northwest side of Superstore. These ones I honestly think are a bit overkill. There are already plenty of ways up to the top of Superstore, but we've got 2 new ways to get up there now. And going even further north, we have the airport area, and I'm so happy we finally have a way up to the top of the airport without a helicopter, because before this season, it wasn't possible. There was no ladder or any way to get up there without parachuting in or landing on it with a helicopter. Now we've got 3 grapple points on the main building of the airport. 2 of these are basically side by side on this corner of the airport here, one that gives you access from the runway side and another that gives access from the lower rooftop area. And then finally, we have another one of those on the opposite side of the building. Continuing north from here, we have 2 more grapple points, and these ones are in the dam, or one's on the outside of the dam, one's on the inside of the dam. And this one I am also really happy to see, because previously there weren't too many methods for getting up the dam. Like, yes, there is this way up the dam here where you can kind of hug the wall and work your way up like that, which is really nice, and that has saved me in several situations. However, now it's nice to know that we have yet another way up, and that's if you go inside this part of the dam here, and you just kind of have to navigate your way through until you get to this giant open, it looks like an old elevator shaft or something, and with this, there is now a grapple point there, which will get you up to the top of the dam, and this is awesome news. As for the next grapple point, this one actually starts pretty much at the top of the previous one if you go outside on the catwalk area, and that one just gets you right up to the very top of the dam, whereas the one before that you have to go up some stairs, or now you have the ability to use this second grapple point, which is nice. This one isn't really as necessary in my mind, but it is definitely nice to have more options like this. Now, that pretty much wraps it up for the entire western part of the map, as well as the downtown area. It turns out I went all through the military base area, as well as the quarry area. I couldn't find a single grapple point in either of these areas, and I looked pretty carefully. I mean, there is a chance that I missed one somewhere, but I can't seem to find one. And then also it was the same story for like the lumber and the farm area, although that makes sense that there's no grapple points there because it's all just like two-story houses and stuff, so there's not really much room for a grapple point in those areas. And this just leaves us with the last two grapple points, which are actually in the prison area. The first one is on the outside, all the way on the east side of the prison, and from here you can go straight from the ground all the way up to the top, which is really nice. And then another one that I almost missed is actually on the bridge toward the front entrance of the prison. And this one only takes you from underneath the bridge to the top of the bridge itself. It doesn't get you right up on the wall of the prison. So that finally wraps it up for every single one of these exterior ascenders that I was able to find on the Warzone map at the beginning of Season 5. Maybe they're going to add more in the future. And speaking of adding more in the future, I just wanted to share my 2 cents on a few buildings that I was kind of hoping to see grapple points on, but they don't have them, at least yet. And the first one is this one right over here that's kind of in between the Superstore area and the train station, roughly. This building right here can be really frustrating to get campers on top of, and while there are 2 ways up, there are 2 different stairways that you can use to get up there, I just wouldn't mind having a 3rd way up, or at least a faster way up there. And I honestly expected to see one of these ascenders on this building, but there isn't one currently at least. Also, pretty close to that, we have the pool area that overlooks Storage Town. And this is another area where I half expected to see one of these ascenders, simply because on this one, there's literally only one way up, and that's a ladder. So it's super easy to lock that down, and from the top of the pool, you do get a nice vantage point over the entire area of Storage Town. So yeah, I'm not necessarily complaining about this, I just wouldn't mind seeing a grapple point on there to make it a little bit easier to approach the top pool area. Additionally, going all the way down to the Promenade area, kind of by the Ferris wheel, we have these 3 large buildings here. And this is another area where I fully expected to see a few different grapple spots, and yet there isn't a single grapple point on any one of these 3 buildings. So if it were up to me, I think I would add a grapple point on each of the 2 taller buildings. The one in the middle that's a bit shorter, I'd leave that one without a grapple point, because then that would give people the opportunity to grapple up to the taller buildings, and then from those taller buildings you can parachute down to the shorter one. And with that, I think that would just help improve the overall flow and area of this map. I often avoid this entire area of the map just because these vantage points are so powerful and they can really easily lock down the whole area. So giving more ways to get up there would make me feel more comfortable approaching that area. But finally, there's one last area where I was hoping to see some grapple points, and this is in the cliff area by the quarry as well as north of the military base. I was really hoping there'd be a couple spots where they'd throw some grapples in, mainly just to help you deal with the gas. When you get a finishing circle in those areas, you can often get completely screwed over by the circle through no fault of your own, really. You might just get an unlucky circle, and you have to get up these cliffs, which you can't climb manually. You have to go all the way around on the foot trails, which in many cases, it's just not possible because of where the gas is. So I was kind of hoping we'd see a couple grapple points as well on some of these steeper cliff areas where there aren't any footpaths in the immediate vicinity. But as far as I could tell, there wasn't a single grapple point over here. But with that, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I'm personally loving the addition of these grapple points. I think it's going to help the flow of the map quite a bit, and it also makes it less scary to go places like downtown, for instance, because the campers lose a little bit of power with these added options for getting on top of these buildings quickly. But of course, that is just my opinion. I'd like to know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts on these exterior ascenders that they've added to Warzone? And also, are there any other areas that you wish these grapple points were on? Just let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.